kind of hyped for SummerSlam, honestly. Personally, there's a couple of matches on there I'm really looking forward to. No, I do not have Storm Breaker, but I would like to add it to my collection. And but thank you guys so much. GBG, thank you so much. Good to see you too. Obscure, welcome in. Greg, great to see you. Raymond Reddington versus Hannibal Lecter. That wouldn't be a bad one. Maybe I should do some Hannibal Lecter monologues. But today we are talking about WWE Unreal Season 3 for our Snug Wrestling, our professional wrestling podcast. Many of you already know, not only am I a voice actor, I'm also a co-owner and operator of the Snug Wrestling podcast. However, my dear friend Edgar here is the creator and founder of that amazing podcast that we are on here today for our TikTok Live Thursday 1 hours, where we not only go over random wrestling topics, and in this case we have a centric one, but we also answer your fan questions live. So thank you guys so much for being in here. And Zizzo, I see you. I will go ahead and look that up. If you commented on one of my recent videos to remind me, that'd be great, and I'll check out that monologue for you. But let's go ahead and get into this. Edgar, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, WWE Unreal was really good. Like the first couple of seasons, I was like, man, I don't want to watch that stuff because I don't want to know like how they make the show. Like a big part of watching wrestling for me is like not knowing, or not knowing what to expect, and I didn't want to be like, see how they do things backstage or anything. But a lot of the stuff that we saw on this documentary of Unreal, we knew a lot about it already. A lot of the stuff that they talked about, we already knew, but there was a lot of stuff in there that we didn't know about that was really interesting, and I want to focus on those things. There's a few different things that I thought is really worth mentioning, so I'm really excited to go over it with you and hear what you think about it as well.
Yeah, I finished the 5th episode earlier when I was eating dinner. I just got back from the gym, had some fish and rice, and then sat down for the last episode. The grandest stage. I actually look. I'm of the mind. I enjoy WWE Unreal. For all intents and purposes, I do, because I think not only has it done a great job helping fans who kind of don't know how to separate character from, the wrestler portraying the character, and really hate on these people harsh as hell. And then you have, the shows have like rehabilitated characters. Like it rehabilitated Charlotte Flair's character during season 1. It helped people have a new way of viewing Lyra and her love for the business. It helped people really see Raquel in a different light. This has helped see Liv be seen in a different light. The season 3 here, really for me, centered around a few characters: Trick Williams, Bron Breakker, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, AJ Lee, Liv Morgan, and John Cena's last chapter. And it genuinely felt to me like not only are there people like me who's not like the biggest Trick Williams fan, like watching this, I was like, man, like he seems like just such a cool dude. He seems like such a great guy, such a great spouse to Lash legend. And then like for me, like I like Bron Breakker, but then I got to see this like really normal side of him where he's like, he loves Seth. Seth is a great friend. He like rests his head in Seth's shoulder when he's talking to advice, and he just seemed like a little brother almost. And it just really endears you to these people, and I enjoy that aspect of it because, as a former wrestler myself, we are people, and it is easy for you to hate the character you're portraying. I mean, I've had glass bottles thrown in my head. I've had trash thrown in my head, snot rags thrown in my head, people throwing food at me. When I'm coming out to the ring, or if they don't like the way I'm wrestling as a heel, or they hate me, they'll throw stuff at you. And it's like, you forget that that's a person too. Like, so to see that human side of the business, the people who put on these shows and risk their health and their safety for our entertainment, and to see how far they'll go, especially in season 3, this season focuses a lot about injuries and how these people have gotten hurt and surgery, and how they fight their asses off to come back for your entertainment. And, it's really like, it really does garner, to me at least, a deeper, respect for these people. Because, this is not ballet, and that's not to shit on ballet, as Triple H said. Ballet is very intense, but it's a contact fucking sport and entertainment. And yes, it is entertainment, but it's car crash entertainment. This shit is not like, there's no fucking, invisible line. There's no wires and CGI happening and green screen. Like, if you're falling backwards 20 feet in the air and you go through a table and you slam your rib cage so hard that it snaps a rib into your lungs, that just happened. So, like, Liv Morgan getting tripped by Kairi Sane, goes down to protect, blows her shoulder out. Seth Rollins, coast-to-coast headbutt, blows his shoulder out. Like Cody Rhodes getting punted by Randy at WrestleMania, almost fully crushed his orbital socket, nearly lost his eye. Like, this, people call it fake. It's scripted. You can't fake gravity. That's real blood you're seeing. That is real danger that they're in. Real danger, okay? We watched Bron Breakker in War Games, they recapped it. He gets doomsday deviced last year at War Games, lands on his neck, falling backwards where his head was over 8 feet in the air, and he falls backwards 8 feet, lands on the back of his neck, could have paralyzed himself. It really gives you a much higher respect for these people and what they do. Say what you will, like Santa Zap going on his channel and bitching and moaning, it's fake, it's a scripted backstage show. It's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, these are real moments here with these people. Aside from what you think about the writer's room aspect of it, Triple H, eye fucking the camera every second when he's in Gorilla. Like, the people that are the wrestlers, this is real for them. And that's why I respect the hell out of it. And before we continue, just to answer a question for Sizu, who's spamming the Please Do Reddington court about Marshmallow Cop. Please stop spamming that in the comments. I did answer about 5 minutes ago that if you comment on one of my recent videos to remind me, I'll do it. But please don't blow up the chat like that. I do appreciate you, but we do need these other people in here to have their questions seen so we can answer them live. It is a part of the Thursday, but I do thank you for joining and thank you for being a part of this.
Yeah, for everyone else that's watching, keep on double tapping the screen, keep on sharing and commenting. Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. It does focus on the injuries, like the real stuff that these athletes go through when working in the WWE. And it also shows like the passion that they have for it, how much it means to them and the lengths that they're willing to go, for a successful show, to have a good match, to have a memorable moment. They put their lives and their bodies on the line. So you really see that. And this season of Unreal focused on everything that pretty much led up to WrestleMania 42. So was it like last year's Survivor Series, WrestlePalooza, Elimination Chamber, and I think it was you, Bludd, that when we were reviewing all these shows last year in the John Cena retirement tour, they're like, oh, there's the next season of Unreal, and what do you know? They covered the retirement tour of John Cena, and we learned a lot of great stuff about that, which we're about to get into here in a sec.
Yeah, and shout out again to GBG. Thanks for being the GOAT in the comments. And Demon King, always great to see you. Big fan of the channel. We're a big fan of you too, always being here supporting us. Greg, you're amazing. Imperion Warlord, thank you so much. You're awesome. Debate at 32 Wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining us. But yeah, like you said, there's a very human side to professional wrestling. And the one thing that I really appreciate about Unreal is that it's not afraid to show you what these people are willing to go through, sacrifice, and risk for this thing they love. There's a reason I get aggravated when fans go, oh, it's fake, it's bullshit. Like, I had a friend of mine, his name's Ian, he commented on one of my videos where I was going over Rhea Ripley's title and everything on my Blood Drop episode. And he was like, you're reporting, it's all scripted, it's fake, you're reporting on fake stuff. And I'm like, okay, do movie reviewers review movies? Do theater rights review theater? Do networks interview actors? And like, every medium of media has someone who is going to review and watch it and review it and look at the review and go, oh, this is something important. Like, it doesn't matter if it's scripted. It doesn't matter if it's fake to you. it's real to me for the aspects of I have been a wrestler. I cracked my shoulder blade in a match. It felt very real. Okay, I watched Owen Hart die in the ring, falling from the wire and dying in the ring. That's very real to his family.
TikTok.
Okay, it's real for the live audience. So when it comes down to it, it's like you have to look at what these people do, and you may not like pro wrestling, but I do feel like if you take a non-wrestling fan and you let them watch Unreal, they're gonna have a respect for what these people do, because this is high contact, full blown. Your life is at risk, your health is at risk. This is a contact fucking sport. Okay, I dare you to look Chris Benoit's family in the eye and tell him that it's fake, with all the head trauma and concussion that he had that had warped his brain mixed with the enhancers he was on. I dare you to look Big E in the face, who no longer can wrestle because he almost paralyzed himself after getting his neck crushed, and tell him that it's fake. Triple H, who had his larynx crushed in Elimination Chamber by RVD, and he almost choked to death because his larynx was crushed, and he still finished the fucking match. Look those guys in the face and tell them that it's fake, because I guarantee you, that hospital trip, the surgery, the 9 months of recovery, their family being in fear for their children's lives live on TV, I don't think that's fake to them.
Yeah, I mean, I get that a lot too. Like, not that long ago, one of my coworkers, he saw me wearing my Snug Wrestling shirt and my Snug Wrestling hat, and he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, I have a pro wrestling channel. We talk about pro wrestling." And he's just like, "Eh." I stopped watching that shit when I was a kid, and walked away, and just like blew me off. I was like, all right, whatever. And then like a few weeks later, he was like, "Hey man, I just want to say I'm sorry, man." He's like, "I went to a TNA show with one of my friends because he had an extra ticket." And he's like, "Man, I get it now." He's like, they do a lot, man. That shit is that's no joke." And I'm like, "Nah, man, but it's cool." Like, I try to tell everyone, like, if you're new to it, if you stop watching it, if you think it's fake, try it again with an open mind. You might like it, because like, even me, like, I didn't understand baseball. Like, I grew up watching soccer ball, basketball, wrestling my whole life, and then I went to a baseball game one day and I was like, "Oh, I get it." Everything, every sport has its own thing about it, like its own.
That just hooks you. That hooks you,
and it's a sport for a reason. It's not easy. Not anyone can just do it, So
yeah, like watching golf on TV, like watching paint dry. Go out there on the green and actually play golf. It's some of the most fun you'll ever have. Like, watching baseball on TV is mind-numbingly boring for me. And then I go to our local stadium over here and watch the Manatees play when I was a kid. Got to go out during the pitch and run on the field with all the kids when I was younger while they did the national anthem, and getting a real, like, Frank in the stadium. Catching a ball, I caught a ball, like a pop fly. Like there's a rush that goes through you where you go, "Oh, light bulb." That's why people love this. Yeah. And with, like, to answer, to shout out to Debate at 32 Wrestling, how much % of Unreal do y'all think is staged or scripted? I do believe that Unreal is scripted to a degree, yes. I do believe that when they're in the writer's room, some of that stuff is definitely staged, because they try to rewrite history in some of those segments where they pretend like something was always the plan when it wasn't. Like, they tried to do a segment in there where they tried to make it look like, oh, before Seth ever came back, it was the plan for him to verse Gunther at Mania, and it was the plan to have Bron Breakker return and interfere in the match. No, because that story was thrown together within the last 3 weeks before Mania. That was never the plan. Yeah. You can't rewrite the history. I remember watching on TV that no one knew what was going on, and we were trying to still get Breakker versus Seth, but Breakker got cleared at the last minute, as we find out in Unreal, and could only do a run-in, not a full-blown match. So they were holding out hope for Breakker, but they had to go with Gunther instead to keep Gunther fresh as well off of retiring Cena. Like, I definitely think there's at least the backstage aspect where they're in the writer's room at WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. I think most of that shit's completely staged. But I think that when it's in Gorilla, when you're seeing the stars actually talking to the camera, when they're actually interacting, that's all the real stuff. And, when it comes down to it, like, there's only so much you can fit. You can't coordinate all those people to pretend at one time. There's too many emotions, too much adrenaline. You're coming down from a match. You're beat the fuck up. like not like I would say at least 80 to 85% of Unreal is real. And I would say that 10 to 15% of it, 20 to 15% of it easily is scripted. And I think the majority of the stuff that's scripted is Triple H knowing that the talent isn't fully like in because they're trying to get in the zone for their matches. And then you'll see Triple H like hug them over the shoulder and say something encouraging them, like he's like that feels forced, because then I'll see his eye glance up at the camera that's filming them for Unreal. And I caught that a couple times, and I'm like, that talent believes this is a real moment. But for Triple H, in his head, maybe it's real to him too in a degree, but you can definitely tell there's the wheels turning of, oh, we're getting this on camera for content. And that kind of miffed me a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not live TV. WWE is used to doing live TV. This is a documentary, so they can pick and choose what they want us to see, what they want to tell us, and what they want to show us. Obviously, like they give us a lot of good information, but we don't see everything. They don't reveal stuff that we're not supposed to see. For example, we didn't see Brock Lesnar in that documentary. When they were talking about Obafemi, when Obafemi was talking to the cameras, you don't see Brock Lesnar interacting with Oba. You didn't see CM Punk interacting with Seth Rollins after their match. You don't see Roman interacting with CM Punk. So there's still a lot of stuff that they keep private, close to the vest, that they don't want people to see.
Agree. I do think Roman will be, I'm going to say this, I think the bloodline 100% becomes the center of season 4. Because of Roman's re-reign after Mania. And this entire season 3 ends at the very end of night 2 of WrestleMania 42 with Roman versus Punk. I have a feeling that it picks up with Roman being champion for season 4, and that's when he's finally involved with it. And then they're probably going to finally have Brock and Oba. I think Brock will be a part of season 4, because it's going to lead into perhaps his last match, the Hell in a Cell stuff with Oba. I think that's when we're really going to see it. And I think that's going to be probably the big selling point of season 4 is like, hey, it's centering around Roman and Brock this time, kind of thing. And I'm looking forward to it. I also think it's probably going to center around a lot of Bron Breakker, where he's frustrated with his spot. A lot of news reports coming out where he's frustrated that, he's still in the vision. We don't know how true these reports are, but that is a lot of rumor and innuendo going around that he's not happy being in the vision anymore, that he feels like he's getting passed by, like his spot's been taken, and he doesn't want to be toehold or pigeonholed to the vision so he can continue to go through the ranks in his career. And I completely understand it. And to answer your question there, debate at 32, without prior knowledge to Braun's injury, should he have won the Rumble, in my opinion? This is the thing. I am on the other side of this, where I've seen the argument where people are like hating on Triple H. Like, even my brother texts me, he's like, I swear to God, I'm going to strangle Triple H for not putting Braun over at the Rumble. Because he watched it, and I said, but I see it from his side, like not wanting to force Braun down people's throats, because, Vince McMahon notoriously forced the Ultimate Warrior, Lex Luger, Hulk Hogan, Roman Reigns in recent memory, and John Cena down everybody's throats, to where people were getting sick and tired of every single one of them. And I mean, he forced Roman and John so much that the fans turned on him. And I think that Triple H looks at that history and goes, I want to learn from what Vince did. And also, like, I tried to push Cody and Jay because at the start, the fans were begging for us to push Cody and Jay. And fans have a very short-term selective memory. They forget how hard they pushed for Cody, how hard they pushed for Jay. And then when they got those titles, the fans turned on them both within a month, at least half the fan base. So I think that when Triple H looks at that, he goes, oh, well, then I guess I shouldn't force Braun down your throat, because you want him now. But what happens the moment I give him that title on the first episode of Raw of the new year and take it off of Punk? You're gonna think I'm forcing it. If I give him the Rumble, you're gonna think I'm forcing it. You're gonna think you know more than us, and you're like, I can understand where he goes, why would I listen to the fans every single time? Because the last 2 times I listened to the fans with Cody and Jay, y'all shit on everything right after I gave it to you. So because people, let's not forget, Triple H got a standing ovation on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania 40. A standing ovation. Okay? 2 years later, how happy are the fans of Triple H now?
Well, since you brought up Bron Breakker, then let's get started there. Quick shout out to Luis Torres says, "Yo, Snug, what up, Luis? Thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to double tap and comment and all that good stuff and share as we go over WWE Unreal." Yeah, when it comes to Bron Breakker, it's like one of those things. It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't, because yeah, that was one of the things that they talked about in Unreal was like they were thinking about going with Bron Breakker, but then they changed their mind on it because of all those reasons you just said. But it's like on one side I get that, okay, they don't want to shove Bron Breakker down people's throats, but also if they wait too long, will the people start losing interest? That seems to be what's happening right now because they didn't pull that trigger on Bron Breakker at Royal Rumble. There's a lot of people, I've seen it online, they're like, man, they fucking screwed Bron Breakker. Like Obafemi is taking all the shine from Bron Breakker. Like, man, it's too late. They buried him and shit like that.
I disagree with them burying. They have not buried Braun. If they had buried Braun, he wouldn't even have any booking period. This is a matter of, unfortunately, it's, as they say, the way the cookie crumbles. And this was a domino effect. This starts with Seth getting injured, so as they explain in the show, they pivot to Braun. Braun gets injured, so they pivot to Bronson. Bronson gets injured, so they pivot to Logan. Logan gets injured, so now it's back on Austin Theory is kind of right now the focal point of the vision, Austin and Maxine. And then it's like, well, Braun came back, Bronson's not back, Logan's still injured. Like, what do you want them to do? Because Braun missed like a month and a half, 2 months of action right before Mania. Then he had the match with Seth. But we all know that one of the plans that WWE really, 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 really wanted to do was originally, it was supposed to be Seth versus Roman at Mania. But Seth got injured. So then they switched to, okay, well, if Seth is back in time, it'll be Seth versus Braun. Then Seth gets injured. Braun gets injured. Now they go, well, fuck, Braun's injured, so now we can't do Seth and Braun even if Seth's back in time, which he was back in time. So they go, okay, well, we'll put Seth versus Gunther. We already had to move Punk on to Roman because we didn't know we didn't know what we were doing with Seth because we didn't know the timeline, so we had to start a feud with Punk and Roman. Now we got to finish it. So now at SummerSlam, they've moved on to the story they originally wanted to do, which was Seth versus Roman. That's why we're getting it at SummerSlam. Braun, however, had to lose the feud to Seth. Though we all agree, we thought Braun needed to go over to get his credibility back. I still stand by that. But I understand it makes no sense to tell the story and trying to sell as many tickets as possible of Seth versus Roman, which is a marquee money match. Far more money than just Braun versus Roman. Hell, it's more money than Oba versus Roman. Those two are like marquee fucking household, like full-blown draws. So you need Seth to go over on Braun in the steel cage a couple of weeks back. So he has credence to say, hey, Roman, give me a shot. Because if he loses to Braun, what does he go hat in hand to Roman? Be like, well, give me a match because we got that history. It doesn't have as much credibility. You guys are also forgetting Braun is very young. Okay? Braun is barely 30. I think he's 29. Okay? He has a long future ahead of him. This is by no means a career death for Bron Breakker. Braun is one of those few in a generation talents that WWE is not taking their eyes off of. It's just a matter of, because the story of the Vision took so many fucking turns, all the pivots they had to make pushed Braun further away from the main focus of that story. And it's nobody's fault. All of those injuries that happened were freak accidents, okay? Other than maybe Seth, who dove shoulder fucking first across the ring. That he kind of did that shit to himself. But Braun literally got a fucking hernia trying to stand up in the locker room. That's a freak accident. Bronson breaks up a pin and rolls, tears his bicep. That's a freak fucking accident. Like, Braun will have his time. But I gotta be honest, I didn't want them to pull the trigger on Bron Breakker so early anyway. I did not think Braun was ready right now. He's got the look, yeah. He's got the legacy. He's got the fucking ferocity and the intensity. But his promos need work. Quite a bit of work, actually. When I look at Oba, full package. He's got the look. He's got the size. He's great in the ring. He has the entrance and the aura and the fan engagement where they're emotionally invested in him. And he can cut one hell of a fucking promo. So why wouldn't I keep going with what's working over here, even though I had Bron over here that was in the process of really working? Oba's already working, and Oba was working organically. We didn't need a whole story and a faction around Oba like we did Bron to get Bron over. Oba was already over. So I don't hate them for going with what makes sense. Oba is, in my opinion, he's money compared to Bron. Bron's money. But in the short amount of time that Oba's been on the main roster, he dwarfed Bron Breakker. They needed a whole year and a whole story to keep trying to get Bron over. Oba was on the roster for 4 weeks, and he was a star. So, like, we hating on them for, what, going with the money? It's a business.
I want to give a couple shout outs. Ragnar of Odin says, hey, Snug and Mr. Bludd, how you guys doing? We're doing good, bro. Thanks for chilling. We got a few people on here, but we need more likes up in here. Please be double tap the screen. Quick shout out to Taj, says they're going to LA Knight him, talking about Bron Breakker, constantly at the bottom of the top guys. We'll see what happens. I still think Bron Breakker is the future. And I'm not mad that they didn't pull the trigger on him at Royal Rumble, but I also feel like, how do we know if he's not ready until we try? Like, after he took out Seth Rollins, he got Seth Rollins' title and he picked it up and he was holding it and he looked damn good with that title, man. And that, to me, he looked like a world champion already in that moment. So, I mean, how can we really know if he's not ready until they try? That's also a part of me that's like, I would have loved to see Bron Breakker win the Rumble, go to Mania, and do the whole thing.
I think it's also the issue of they get a little scared. Not fully scared. Like, this isn't Vince levels of, oh, Finn, fucks his shoulders, so we'll never give him a title shot again levels of scared. Like, Vince was just, like, superstitious with that shit. But I do think, hey, we put so much into this guy, and he gets injured just standing up because he got too excited. Now he rips a hernia, has to have emergency surgery, and the only thing he can do at Mania is do a run-in spear twice because he's not physically cleared to have a match. They tell us that he might not even be fully cleared until Backlash. Do you really want to then put a title on a guy who just showed you that he's injury prone when he's not even in the ring? Okay? And then let's do a whole title program with that guy and hope to God then we finally put the title on him when this whole group seems to be fucking cursed and getting injuries left and right. Let's put the main title on him in hopes that he doesn't tear his hernias wide open 3 weeks after he comes back. Like, I understand it. And it's not Bron's fault. His body quit on him. It's not his fault. But at the same time, it's like, I, from a business perspective, go, well, you did a whole angle where you tore up the stage. You go back, and because you were hyped up, you stood up too fast and fucking caused yourself a hernia so bad we had to evac you to the hospital to have emergency surgery. That wasn't even in the ring.
Right.
That was you getting so intense and so hype and excited, you caused an injury that required surgery. Now I want you to have a high-profile match with a world championship on the line at a sold-out thing where I plan on putting the title on you and then hope to God that you don't get re-injured having an intense fucking knockdown, drag-out match when two other members of your group all got injured doing very minimal things as well. I understand the cold feet because I go, I want to put it on you, but like, y'all seem to be extremely injury prone when you're together. Like, come on. And by the way, they all got injured in the exact order they joined the group. Let me rephrase that. Like, Seth got injured first, then Bron on the next Monday Night Raw joins him. Then Bronson joins about 3 weeks later. He gets injured after Bron. Logan joins a couple of weeks after Bronson. He's now injured currently. Like, I'm like, put bubble wrap around Austin Theory. Like, put bubble wrap around Austin Theory. Like, I understand where their head goes. I don't know if this is the direction we want to go anymore. But the thing is, they've got to get all their other shit out of the way, and then we can get back to Braun. But let's get through the big Oba thing first, getting through Lesnar, and then let's recircle back on Braun. Because right now, the money's with Oba. But Braun will always be there.
So the other thing, too, that I thought was really interesting that we saw on this Unreal documentary, when it comes to Bron Breakker, you know, there was a lot of debating, a lot of questions wondering around his name. You know, he's a Steiner. Everyone knows he's a Steiner. He looks like a Steiner. He moves like a Steiner. Why not call him Steiner? And they talked about that in on this documentary. And what they told us makes a whole lot of sense. They want to position Bron Breakker in his own lane, kind of how like The Rock did. The Rock didn't. He became The Rock. He was at first he was Rocky Johnson, after, like named after his father. That didn't work out, right? He did his own thing. Right. He did his
Rocky
own
Maivia,
thing.
yeah.
And then who was the other example that they used? They used a couple examples. Roman Reigns was another one. You know, the son of Sika. But he became Roman Reigns. He became a bigger star than his own father. Yeah. So that's the same idea. They're like, we want you to be bigger than your family name. Yes, you know, you have the lineage, but we want you to be like The Rock. We want you to be like Roman Reigns. We want you to be the first of your own, the first Bron Breakker. And I thought, wow, that's really great. That makes a whole lot of sense to me now, you know, after hearing that. But did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it made total sense. Like, I remember during COVID when he came to NXT, and I was listening to Wrestle Talk as I do every morning. It's other than ours, it's my favorite wrestling channel. And I remember when they were going over the name Bron Breakker, when they mentioned, hey, he'd be joining NXT's roster. And they're like, Breakker with 2 Ks, and he got made fun of a lot. And it was a talking point of a lot of shows until people got used to him, because he got introduced as like this white meat baby face and all this other shit. And it was like, well, why don't you just call him Braun Steiner? Now it's cool now to see all these years later. In this documentary, he literally says, he frames it as if it was his decision. He's like, I didn't want to be known as a Steiner. He's like, I want to be the first Bron Breakker. Like I am Rex Steiner. I'm Bronson Rex Steiner. But I want to be the first Bron Breakker. I respect that. I also think, like, it is honestly crazy just how similar him and Roman Reigns' paths are. Like, they both were had short stints in the NFL and couldn't finish for different reasons. Roman got his leukemia diagnosis while he was at a training camp, and then Braun basically got fired and cut from the team. But then, like, they're both the sons of WWE Hall of Famers who were both in tag teams with their brothers, like, and they both use a spear as a finish. They both have this like intense aura about them. They're very similar, but people think like, oh, well, if they don't run with Bron Breakker now, it'll never work. It's like, dude, it took them like 2-3 years to get Roman really moving. And even then, like, fans turned on Roman at Rumble 2015. Like, the second he wasn't Daniel Bryan, they fucking flipped on him. And he would get continuously booed for the next some odd years. Do you know the thing that made fans like Roman again? Wasn't the tribal chief gimmick. This is how kind of sickening wrestling fans are. They hated all over Roman from 2015 Rumble up to like 2017-ish. They liked Roman again when they go, oh, he lives with cancer? Oh, well, now he's got my pity, so I should cheer for him. Like, fuck you. Okay, like you only care about him because he was dying again. Like, fuck that. like, where's the loyalty?
Yeah.
I think if we can go from 2012 Survivor Series Roman all the way up to now, and and it took Roman 10 years. 10 years to work. 10. And look at him now. Yeah. I have no fear for Bron Breakker whatsoever. I mean, I really don't. Like, I have no fear because I'm like, the dude's going to be an insane. Like, look at Cody. He came in 2006 with Hardcore Holly, okay, before he went into Legacy. Look at Cody 20 years later. You look back, we never should have been worried about Cody as Stardust. Look at him now. So I'm not worried about Bron. I think Bron has got an insane fucking future ahead of him.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, let's switch gears here a little bit because I want to talk about the John Cena retirement tour, and that was a big part of this new season of Unreal. And we're going to have that debate again, Mr. Bludd, because according to Triple H on this documentary, the retirement tour for John Cena was a complete success on all levels. It was a big whopping success, according to Triple H. A lot of fans don't agree with that. A lot of fans think that it was a complete failure, this John Cena retirement tour. But after seeing this documentary, a lot of the things that they did, most of the things that was done in that whole retirement tour was John Cena's ideas. He pretty much pitched most of the things that they did. So knowing that, do you think that the John Cena retirement tour was a failure? Because I never felt like it was a failure. Some people were saying the heel turn was a waste of time. I thought it did really good. How do you feel about that after seeing this documentary?
I don't think it was a failure at all. I think John Cena's entire retirement tour was a massive success. And I'll tell you why. But first off, the first nail in the coffin for a lot of fans was the lack of The Rock being continued along in the story after Elimination Chamber. That's nobody's fault other than Ari Emanuel apparently makes a phone call and begs The Rock to come in to help with ticket sales. The Rock comes in, then dips out because he's chasing an Oscar with Smashing Machine last year. Didn't even get close to it, by the way. So he should have just stayed in the story. Had The Rock stayed in the story, fans would have been completely satisfied with this. I do really think that the biggest problem with that tour is The Rock just exiting the story. I think that right there is, if there is any failure in the retirement tour, that is the biggest failure. And it's not John Cena or Triple H or Nick Khan's fault at all. That's The Rock just backing out because he wants an Oscar. When it comes down to it, the reason the retirement tour is not a failure is because what is a failure to a business? No profit.
Yeah.
They sold out every fucking show he was on. They sold out merch every show he was on. They made millions on his toys, his final appearances, his meet and greets, Fanatics Fest, podcasts he was on, all went viral every time he was on them. He was in the news on ESPN. It was a massive, massive success from a business standpoint. And to a business, be realistic here. You can be a fan all you want, but at a point you have to take the fan side out of it and look at it logically here. To a business itself, that's a massive fucking success. It just is. I can't argue that because the fan side of me enjoyed the majority of the retirement tour. I really did. I mean, AJ Styles versus John Cena might be one of the most beautiful love letters to wrestling I have ever fucking seen. Ever. Him versus Punk one last time, chef's kiss. Absolutely fucking adored it, okay? I loved his match with Gunther. I don't care what anybody says. I thought it was perfect. And the way he explains it, like he's like, what happens when you kill a character off a show? You know, he's like, they ride, like, you kill a character off so someone else can go. He's like, so what do you do when you kill me off? I gave up. He goes, it's poetic. The guy who says he never gives up, gives up. That's the perfect way to kill me off. It's the one thing I'd never do. So it's the last thing I should do. And it was the last thing he did do. And I thought the rematch with Cody at SummerSlam to make up for the WrestleMania match, which he admitted that was on me going too far, trying to make it too boring to take it away from the fans. The SummerSlam, him and Cody at something was fucking crazy. What a match. The Cody Vader attitude adjustment. I mean, chef's kiss. So to me, I enjoyed 90% of his retirement tour. But from a business standpoint, if you think that's a failure, you know nothing about business. They made so much fucking money last year because of John Cena. That in and of itself is a across the board success.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it as well. And I was lucky enough to see John Cena in his retirement tour, I think like 3 times here in my hometown. The SmackDown before WrestleMania was in Vegas. I was there for that. And I got to see him in Vegas versus Cody. But a lot of people didn't like it. You know, everything from, oh, why is he retiring at Saturday night's main event? Oh, why is he turning heel? And oh wow, how is he gonna just give up and tap out to Gunther like that? Like, there's a lot of things that people didn't like about it, and John Cena addressed all those things in this documentary, which I thought was
He
great.
knew. Yeah, he said he knew that half the fans wouldn't like it. He said he knew it'd be split. He knew it because when you're saying goodbye to a character you love so much on a TV show, as he mentions, everybody has their own idea of how they think that character should leave or how their story should wrap up. And it's true. You think of your favorite show of all time where you knew a character was going to get killed off or leave. You had your own personal idea of how you believed with your attachment to this character, you thought this is the way their story should end. And that's the thing. Just because you want something so badly does not mean that it's the right call. And in this case, it was John Cena getting to choose how he wanted to go out. And the tap out was John Cena's idea. We see that in the documentary where like Triple H is like, where he's like, I think I should give up. And literally Triple H is like, are you willing to do that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the one thing I haven't done. Like, why would, yeah. It'll make Gunther and the entire point of that match was to make Gunther the biggest heel he could possibly make him on the way out. And by tapping out that way in a way that fans would absolutely take all that hate and all that anger and put it on Gunther was exactly what John wanted. And it worked like a fucking charm. Congratulations, Marks. You literally got worked.
Yeah, I have a good quote here from the documentary that John Cena made when it comes to retiring in Saturday night's main event. It was his idea. John Cena decided to do it on a regular Saturday night, on a Saturday night's main event, where he said, and I quote, everybody from a critical standpoint was like, I want John to retire at WrestleMania. Why? WrestleMania is going to sell out on its own. Let's do it on a random Saturday night during the company's weakest financial quarter and help bring Q4 up because I knew we had some good business.
And people forget John Cena is a company guy. It is a business predicated on making money. What do you hear half the wrestlers talk about? We got to go out there and do good business. Let's do business. Even back to the old stories of like, Shawn didn't want to do the job for Stone Cold. So like Taker wraps his fists up there and tells him you're going to go out there and do business. Like it's an old adage in pro wrestling. To do business means to do the right thing for the story, for the company, for more money in your pocket and the boys' pockets. It is a lifelong wrestling staple that you do the unselfish thing because it moves the business forward. That is the entire predication of it. You take away the fact that they're a corporate entity that's publicly traded, and it is a business. The boys have a code they live by as wrestlers. What is best for business right now? You heard Cody say it in the documentary. He said, part of me does really want to see Bron Breakker succeed because at the end of the day, I want to be proud of him. He is good for the future of this industry. And so guys like me and guys like me and Seth and Roman and Punk, yeah, he's coming for our spots, but we should be happy that he's coming for our spots because it's good for business. Yeah. Like it's just the mature, responsible way to think about it. You won't be here forever. So why would you hold down someone who is going to be here after you? If you love this business so much, you should be willing to do whatever it takes to push the business forward and make more money. And lo and behold, we made Gunther such a massive fucking heel after that. It only got AJ Styles cheered more in his retirement match, which was even better for him, which sold out, which made even more money. And then because it's such a big deal, it sold way more merch. So now AJ gets more money in his pocket. So you did something right by him. And there's a larger gate. So now everybody gets bonuses on their guarantees. Like, it's good for everybody. So why be selfish?
There was a lot of good moments on this documentary of Unreal. A lot of like really emotional moments that even got me, kind of teary eyed, man. Because there's a lot of real stuff that you see on this documentary, and a big part of this whole documentary, which I'm sure Mr. Bludd was really glad to see. A lot of AJ Lee and CM Punk stuff we saw on here. Everything from their matches together, their singles matches leading up to WrestleMania, the return of AJ Lee, Larry's passing, and everything and anything in between. But the thing that really got to me the most about everything that we saw when it comes to AJ Lee and CM Punk was AJ Lee's return. Like, we already knew most of the stuff that was said and talked about when it comes to that, which was AJ Lee didn't have a signed contract officially until like 30 minutes before the show. She showed up in the arena, she signed the contract, and in that same moment, she walked out for the very first time in WWE after like 10 years. But there were some quotes that AJ Lee made about that meeting, that contract signing, where she said that it was a boss moment for her because after everything that happened 10 years ago in and out of the WWE with her personally, her husband, obviously CM Punk was not happy in the WWE at that time. She was like set, like already telling herself, I'm never coming back to the WWE. She comes back on her own terms, and she is offered a contract as an equal and is getting paid just as much money as her husband, CM Punk, which was unheard of back when she was in the WWE. And I thought, that is fucking crazy to think about. Yeah, man. What did you think about that?
Thought it was incredible. First off, AJ deserved it. People, if you haven't been a wrestling fan, long enough to remember AJ like debuting on the stupid version of NXT that was a game show, she was the best thing on the show. And when she comes to the main roster, there's a point in time in her original run where she's the most over act in the entire company. She was more popular than John Cena at one point for several months. She was more popular than Punk. She got the loudest reactions, the loudest pops, the biggest cheers. People loved her. And the fact that she really is the bridge between the Divas era and the women's wrestling era is incredibly true, because there's a section of her career toward the end where she's champion and Total Divas, the reality show, is like taking off and getting all these ratings. And you see the diva side of it, and she's over here like the anti-diva. She literally was like the next Lita, because Lita was the original anti-diva. But then you have like AJ Lee, who's coming in here like, fuck that. I'm not wearing, my tits hanging out and my ass hanging out. I'm up in here in jean shorts that are cut, long Chuck Taylors, and cut off tees that I've ribboned and tied off and everything. And she's like, I'm coming out here and I am a woman's wrestler. And then because of her, you get the next evolution of the anti-diva. You get Paige, and then you get like Caitlyn, and then you get like people like that. And it was a huge deal. And when she left, it was only a little bit later where all of a sudden Stephanie McMahon tweets about women's wrestling and AJ Lee tweets on her like, for someone who preaches so much about, women's wrestling and equal pay, you should do something about that. Hashtag this. Next thing you know, hashtag give divas a chance, trends #1 worldwide. And then we get the women's evolution. And then we get the 4 horsewomen. And then we get everything after that. Like, that's when it is literally because AJ Lee bridged a gap and then called the company out. The most powerful woman in the company at the time, Stephanie McMahon, called her out publicly and said, put your money where your mouth is. And it forced the company to do it because they couldn't ignore it, because it had millions of retweets. And next thing you know, we get rid of the Divas belt, get the women's championships, and now we start spotlighting 4 main women's talents. And that was the 4 horsewomen. And then we're off to the races. So because she was able to shepherd so much of that in on the backs of Lita and Michelle McCool, who were also doing their best to lead women's wrestling into the future, you then have someone who actually was able to fully make that change because she had the balls to do it. Because like her husband, that woman is a full-blown rebel and a punk in the best way.
I also love the little cliffhanger that she left us with in this documentary. She said that she thought that her coming back, for this program with Becky and to wrestle at WrestleMania was going to be the perfect goodbye that she never got for her and, for her fans. But then she realized that she's still really fucking good at this. And we haven't seen her in a while, but she said, let's see how far we can take it. So AJ
and not to mention
stay for a while.
Good. Well, a lot of people, and to answer Yadur's question, shout out to Wider or Yadur in the comments. Do you think we'll see more of AJ before the end of the year? I don't know if we'll see more of her before the end of the year, but you will see more of her because AJ Lee, remember when she re-signed that contract last year, she signed a multi-year deal. It was said to be upwards of 2 to 3 years. So she's not done with the company. But people forget, not only is AJ Lee, she works doing other things. She's a writer. She writes movies. She writes comic books. And she works for this other company. I'm blanking on what it is, where she does things for them as well. But she has a lot of hats that she wears. So when she is a part-timer, but it's a good thing because I want to miss her. So every time she comes back, I have this excited feeling of, oh yeah, we get AJ for another couple of months. And that's good because with AJ, you have to remember one of the reasons she left was she was dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of negative thoughts. Her mental health was declining. And she had a really bad attempt at one point where, it required impossible hospitalization, everything else. I don't want to overload her. I want her to come back and love this and love every second of it and not feel how she felt the last time, burnt out and dogged out. I want her to constantly be in a state of enjoyment and having fun because if she's having fun, it comes through in her performance and the fans get more out of it. So I'm fine with her coming up for a couple of months, take a sabbatical for a little bit, come back and do another story, take another break, and so on and so forth. If that's how they run her 2 to 3 year deal, I'm totally fine with it because I want her at her best and I want her to feel like she's at her best so she can give the fans her best.
Right. Plus, and if she hasn't been wrestling in 10 years, you don't want to come back to a full-time schedule and just be wrestling all the fucking time,
I mean, people forget she's 39. Like she is shredded for a 39-year-old. I mean, good God, I didn't know you could get that lean. Between her and Finn Balor, I'm not sure who has less body fat. But when it comes down to it, just because you're in shape does not mean you're in ring shape. And that's the thing that people forget. You can be shredded. You can be as shredded and as big as The Rock. You got to train a couple of months before you go in there and take a fucking bump, and let alone get thrown off a top rope. Like you saw how easily she bruised. In the documentary, you see her elbows are just cut to shit after the match where she wins the IC title from Becky. Her elbows are cut to shit. Her thighs are bruised because she hasn't been calloused because she hasn't wrestled in 10 years. So
Hannibal King says, do you think that she will get another women's title run?
Absolutely. I think the next logical story to tell with her when she comes back is to go for one of the main world titles, either the WWE Women's Championship or the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. I think that's the most logical step. She came back in the prime perfect spot, in my opinion, to help Becky elevate the Intercontinental Championship, which it needed. I wish and I hope, if we're lucky, maybe she'll come back and do the same thing with the Women's United States Championship on SmackDown. And then maybe next year at some story, end of next year, towards the middle point of her deal, we'll get like a world title run with her. And I'm fine holding off on a world title run. I think she does a great job helping elevate the girls in the mid card and the upper mid card. I think that's a great spot. I mean, you've seen it work great with Becky and all the work she's done with the mid card. You've seen it work great with Charlotte and Alexa doing the mid card work, helping elevate these talents. I think that's the prime spot for these women's legends and veterans, is helping the younger talent get over it. We don't need help in the main event scene. There's plenty up there. Let's help out the middle of the card.
All right. The other thing, too, because we're kind of going over our time here a little bit, but it's cool. We heard from Stephanie Vaquer. We haven't seen her on WWE TV for a while. The last thing we heard was that she might have gotten injured or injured her ankle or something like that. And then she disappeared off TV, but she was on this documentary. We learned a lot about her. And she addressed a lot of things. She addressed her winning the title at WrestlePalooza over Io Sky. You know how they went about that match, the ideas that they had, and what she wanted to do with it. But she also talked about after WrestleMania, she lost the championship to Liv Morgan. And she stated that that was the perfect time for her to lose a title because Stephanie Vaquer felt like her body was telling her to slow down, that she needed a break. Since she got to the WWE, it's been about almost 2 years since she got there. She's done a lot. She started in NXT. She won all these titles. She was wrestling a heavy schedule. She was having a lot of matches. But before she got to the WWE, Stephanie Vaquer said that she was wrestling nonstop for over 10 years, not taking care of her body, full adrenaline, just going 100 miles an hour. And that's why we haven't seen her. So it wasn't just, it might have been an injury. Maybe the ankle injury was one of the reasons, but she felt like, hey, she needs to take care of herself.
I 100% agree with that. We've seen too many times in the business where wrestlers will go so balls to the walls for so long that you just fall out of love with it, or you get extremely burnt out. Most famous example of that, CM Punk. Burnt out for so long that when he finally got over because of the pipe bomb promo, he was already burnt out and wanted a break. And then they convinced him to re-sign a contract, and he did. And then next thing you know, he's champion. And he goes hard as fuck for the next 3 years. And then the burnout was so bad, as soon as he gets eliminated out of the Rumble that year by Kane, he walks to the back, looks at Vince McMahon and goes, "I'm going home." and he was done. He was like, I completely understand it because Punk was on the Indies for a long time. And then he went to ECW for a while. And then he came up to the main roster. And I mean, he was a fast rising star, but we're talking back then when the schedules were like 250 plus matches a year you're wrestling. Okay, the highest number of matches wrestled by any one person in 2025 was LA Knight, where he wrestled 67 matches last year. That's because they got rid of the live event schedule for the most part. So the schedule's reduced. But when you're Stephanie Vaquer and you wrestled for 10 whole years, then you go to weekly TV when you get signed to WWE and NXT after you just came out of Japan. So now you're on NXT, now you're a champion, now you're on a bigger schedule, now you're up at the main roster, now you're on a bigger schedule. Now you're traveling to Perth, Australia, and France, and Belgium, and all these other countries to do live events, premium live events, pay-per-views, whatever. And then you're on weekly TV doing something like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And when I look at her, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, girl, take some time off. Because Stephanie is so fucking good.
Dude, and some nights, sorry to interrupt, but on some nights on NXT, she was defending multiple titles, like having 2 matches a night.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like when I look at her, I'm like, take all the time you need because she's too good and she's still young and she has a lot to offer and give to the business. I would hate to see someone that talented and that good at what she does get burnt out early. And be like, I'm done. I've fallen out of love with this. I don't want anybody to fall out of love with wrestling. I love wrestling so much. I want everybody to fucking love it. Even non-wrestling fans. I just clamor for everybody to get and understand why we love this as fans. And as a former wrestler myself, I wanted to keep wrestling. I got too hurt to keep going. So when I see someone else who is beat up and needs to walk away for a bit, I'm like, walk away early while you have the chance to remember why you love and miss it so much. Because I daydream every day of getting back in the ring. I've had agencies email me who have wanted me to do appearances for matches a couple times in the last 3 years. And I can't because I've gotten too old. I'm way too out of ring shape and my body's just not going to do it. And I mean, I would have to train for 6 months before I could get back into a match.
Well, bro,
because I'm in great shape, but I'm not in ring shape.
Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, started his pro wrestling career at 35, bro. If he can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, but Diamond Dallas Page didn't have 2 open heart surgeries with a plastic valve and have nerve damage in his lower thoracic spine and with a cracked shoulder blade like I do.
Excuses.
So,
No, I'm just kidding.
oh yeah, getting sliced open is excuses.
Bro, no one wants to see your titties, bro. Put those away.
No, the scar, the zipper.
Okay.
But when it comes down to it, like when I look at like Stephanie, when I look at like AJ, I want them both to be doing this for the next several years at the high level that they're able to do it. If that means they got to take some time to reset, recharge their batteries, I'm all for it, because at the end of the day, we all love this. And it's a sucky thing to see someone fall out of love with something that they love, especially when they're good at it.
Well, we're going to call it here. That was the Unreal review of the documentary with the Snug Wrestling podcast. Thanks to everyone that hung out with us on this weekly 1 hour one-on-one on TikTok Live that we do here with myself. My name is Edgar and Mr. Bludd. Thanks for all your questions, your comments, your likes, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.
Yeah, guys, thanks for kicking it with us here on this episode of the Snug Wrestling Podcast, our Thursday night TikTok Live random or relevant wrestling topic hours, where you can join us every Thursday at TikTok Live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, and 8 o'clock Central. But if you want to catch us live during the weeks, you can catch us after Monday Night Raw for our live post-show reviews at those exact same times. On Wednesdays for our NXT reviews at those same times. You already know about the Thursdays, but our Friday Night SmackDown reviews have moved to Sundays at those same times. But you can hang out with us for a special edition of Snug Wrestling next Wednesday for our predictions of SummerSlam. And you can catch that on our Apple and Spotify and our YouTube channel. So follow us everywhere at Snug Wrestling, including here on TikTok. Go to my account, follow the new Blood Drop channel where I do wrestling news videos, and follow the main channel, Snug Wrestling. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug.
Yeah,
have a great evening.
And I just want to highlight, if you don't catch the shows live, that's okay. You guys can catch the audio on Apple and Spotify. They go up. Every single live goes up on there, so follow us there as well.
Yes, and the video formats go on YouTube, and we have a whole library, hundreds of episodes for you to catch up on, including the special editions like this upcoming prediction night this Wednesday for WWE SummerSlam. But we will see you again next time. Stay safe, stay savage, stay snug.